Okay. We're back from our closed session. I'll take a motion to reopen the session.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of reopening the session, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and with that, we've conducted our business of the Committee of the Whole, and without objection, I will adjourn that meeting. And now, noting the time is 5:04, I will call this regular meeting of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board for September 3rd, 2025 to order. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Alper.
Present.
Commissioner Forney.
Here.
Commissioner Menz.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Rucker.
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer. Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Vice President Musich.
Present.
President DeBenny.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Here. Thank you. Okay, the agenda's before us. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Before we go to discussion about the agenda or to move it forward, I'll just note that I'll be taking a couple of things out of order. Mainly, I will be moving the petitions and communications ahead in the meeting to basically right after we approve the agenda. So is there other discussion about the agenda? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. We have one set of minutes.
I'll move the minutes from the meeting of August 20th, 2025.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of approving the minutes of August 20th, 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And with that, I will go right to petitions and communications, and I'll start with Commissioner Forney.
Thank you. I don't have anything to report, but I know circulating around is some acknowledgement of some birthdays. So Commissioner Alper, I believe, birthday is coming up. And most importantly is our president birthday. So at some point in time, I might have a card for you both.
Thank you. And I would just say that my birthday's not more important than Commissioner Alper's birthday, so, okay. Commissioner Olson.
Yeah, so obviously last week there was the tragic Annunciation shooting, so I'm not gonna, nor limited on time, so I'm not gonna go into it a ton. But I do know, there are things at the park board that we can do. A few months ago, I had someone with Moms Demand Action reach out, talking about how could we partner with the park board. I kind of asked staff to be looking into that, and last thing I heard from that person is that things had kind of stalled. They had some ideas, they had some options of partnering, and of making sure that our rec centers and our places that can kind of serve to advance gun violence. So I just hope in this wake that, wherever that is in our thread, that we're continuing to work on that and continuing to push that forward. Obviously, it's now relevant more than ever. I also found out recently that so at the state fair, we do our annual poll. There's a poll that asks a question of should guns be allowed at the state capitol. 80% of Minnesotans who responded to that poll said no. Under that law is also the law that allows weapons to be brought into our parks and to our park spaces and recreation spaces. That's a law that I think should change. I think that those weapons have no place in our recreation centers, and I will, on our next legislative agenda, make sure that that's a priority of ours. I know folks within security at the Capitol are kind of considering redoing that law as well. And so I think those are a couple things that us as a park board can be doing to move things forward for gun violence, and so we can be proactive and do more than just be regretful. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Rucker.
I went to a few events this weekend. The first one was at Phelps, where it was called Southside back in the day, where people gather, have a good time. Food, music, Sounds of Blackness was there playing, and probably about, 400 people, 500 people showed up. Same day, went to Be the Change golf tournament at Theodore Worth. Nice turnout. Superintendent showed up, Nicole, and Newman showed up. But it was a nice event as well. And then the other event on Sunday was at Loppet Trailhead. That was a hip-hop barbecue, but it was nice. So, and then coming up is the Battle of the Badges at North Commons on September 6th at 11 to 4 o'clock. So if you guys are able to show up, show up.
Thank you. Commissioner Alper.
Yes, thank you. I have a couple things. First of all, I want to share that the Capital Area Architectural and Planning Board reached out to me and would like to circulate some information about an upcoming event at the state capitol celebrating our indigenous communities in the state. There's going to be a flag raising for the 11 sovereign federally recognized tribes in Minnesota as part of a new Capitol Mall design framework, and I will get that information out, but it looks like it is happening on Friday. So bear with me and I'll share that information with all of you, but they asked particularly that I share it with staff and the board. And then I just want to reiterate, I believe this, my request from last meeting about getting a report for our upcoming plan for ice rinks for this upcoming winter. And I had hoped that it would happen at this report of officers, but my understanding is it's not part of today, as although that had been my request at the last meeting. And so I just want to reiterate my request that we find out what the plan is, which rinks are planning to be closed, if any, so that we can adequately share that information with our community members who care about winter ice, and as well as have a chance to react to it before it's too late. Thank you.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes, I would just say thank you to everyone that participated in the Elliott Park Start the Construction Party. You know, you might drive by, there's fencing all around it, but programming is open. We're getting some more signage. It's really exciting to see that coming along, and thanks to Michael Brown for really taking the initiative on the project around that. And all that participated. And I would concur with Commissioner Alper. Every neighborhood meeting I go to, someone asks me about the ice rink update, and I don't have one. And so any information we have would be appreciated as soon as possible.
Commissioner Menz.
Triple on the ice for me. School started, so it's a great days when you go back to school and you get to see the kids again. And I know it's with a heavy heart with what happened over at Annunciation, and that's terrible tragedy. But there's also the worry of living in fear, and young people coming to a space where they're supported and valued and loved. It's interesting to see how they respond to that. I would really love it if our recreation department or someone, or we figure out how to get our park workers in the schools too. I think that, like Commissioner Alper, there's been reiteration that we need to have that connection. We need to bring young people from the schools to the parks to keep them as safe as possible, emotionally and in many, many ways. And I think that sometimes we need to be a little bit more intentional about how that connection plays out, so that our young people have those adequate third spaces to go to and adequate third spaces to thrive in. So just a reiteration that hopefully I would love to see park workers in my schools in some way. I think that there's a lot of other partner groups in the city that are in the schools. It's confusing to me why we are not necessarily directly in there. So thanks.
Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you. I know we're short on time. I'll just say quickly, I don't know if anybody saw yesterday, there's an article in the Star Tribune about it. The title, I just looked up again, said generations of children like lured into gang violence and gangs. And part of it, you know, we talk about guns, and I've been thinking a lot about that in the last week. It's been a very tragic time. And yeah, there's just a lot of kids in our city that need a lot of different helps in different ways. And so just looking at the broader community, and my heart is with the families of Annunciation right now. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Musich.
I'll pass.
Thank you, and I'll just comment a couple of things. I think first, I just note that parks have been really there for the community, right, recently, particularly Lyndhurst Park. It's very near Annunciation, and I think there's a lot of people in the Annunciation community that live in that area, and so I know the park organization has really stepped up. And the parks have been the primary gathering place, so one of the primary gathering places. And then also, the ice rink information is coming, and it will be more timely with other context around the budget, I think. That's why it will be at the next meeting, so. Okay, I'm gonna keep going, okay, Commissioner Schaefer? Okay, do you want to?
I just wanted to correct, it was Michael Jones, not Michael
Oh.
Brown, I wanted to thank.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we're finished with Ps and Cs, but we'll go ahead to reports of officers, and I'll ask the superintendent,
Yes.
take it away.
Thank you, President Benny and Commissioners. I will try to be patient with me on this one, a little bit more information. I will try to get through it in 15 minutes, and hopefully I can do that. So we'll begin right away with Strategic Direction A, Act Boldly for Our Climate Future, Shared Mobility. So we are over 3 months into the shared mobility season with Minneapolis and had a great year so far. The Shared Mobility Program is a collaborative with the City of Minneapolis and the University of Minnesota, while aligning with numerous adjacent jurisdictions. During the season, we analyze data as a collective, and we get more specific MPRB information after the season concludes. Our micromobility interns spent the summer biking through the most high-traffic areas for shared mobility, with special emphasis on the River Parkway and the chain of lakes. Using that experience, as well as looking at historical data, she created a ArcGIS map with recommendations for new bike rack placements. Here are some of the Minneapolis highlights of the 2025 seasons thus far. 2,500 scooters and 1,500 e-bikes in total are available across the city through our 2 vendors, Lime and Spin. Nearly 354,000 trips have been taken in Minneapolis in 2025. 480 Smart Sheet compliance violations were documented in Q2 of 2025. Lime, 71 direct public complaints in Q2. Spin, 27 direct public complaints in Q2. Vendor average response time to complaints is about 1 hour and 40 minutes. Strategic Direction B, cultivate each community's place in honor of cultural traditions in Minneapolis parks. The Somali Festival 2025 brings culture, community, and celebration to Lake Harriet. On Saturday, August 30th, 2025, Community Connections and Violence Prevention hosted their annual Somali Fest. The cultural celebration brought hundreds of community members to Lake Harriet Bandshell in Minneapolis for a vibrant celebration of Somali culture. Families and children enjoyed a full day of music, dance, food, and cultural activities, all set against the scenic background of the nation's top-rated park system. The festival featured live performances by well-known Somali artists, including Shamra Boy, let me get this wrong, Ilka Case, Hudan Abdurrahman, Delmar Yar, Musal, Barsi Jawi, and Ishmael Danan. Traditional dances and cultural showcases energized the crowd and highlighted the rich heritage of the Somali community. Children participated in fun activities and received backpacks as part of the back-to-school giveaway, while attendees beyond enjoyed Somali cuisine, including sambusas served fresh from a local Somali food truck. The event was made possible through the partnership between the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and Ambassadors of Culture, a local organization funded by East African musicians dedicated to promoting cultural expression and community unity. It was a joyful day of connection and celebration, reflecting the vibrancy and resilience of the Somali community in the heart of Minneapolis. Congratulations for the wonderful event. I was down there. Strategic Direction C, implement quality youth and intergenerational programs. Assistant Superintendent Nicole Hernandez to receive the Advocate of Joy Award. On Thursday, August 21st, Nicole Hernandez received the Advocate of Joy Award from the Children's Defense Fund, Minnesota. This honor recognizes her leadership, dedication, and service to improving the well-being of Minnesota's children and youth. Nicole was recognized alongside other state leaders, including Diana Halsey, Assistant Commissioner for Early Childhood Administration at the Minnesota Department of Children, Youth, and Families. Congratulations to Nicole. She's just racking them up, so congratulations. Yeah. Strategic Direction D, care for park assets to meet evolving needs and practices. Teen Teamwork finishes its 40th year. For the summer season of work, Youth Employment and Training Initiatives, YETI, hired 213 teenagers and young adults. 122 youth worked in 16 park care crews all over the park system. 36 of these youth were placed with TeenWorks from the City of Minneapolis Step Up program. In addition, 50 teenagers worked in recreation centers and with Spark Studios. Minneapolis Park Corps, an initiative to provide young adults ages 18 to 24 with employment opportunities, hired 41 young people. These young adults worked with NPRB departments such as natural resources, horticulture, and the carpentry and equipment shops, among others. We also marked the major milestone in 2025. TeenWorks is in its 40th year. Congratulations to Crystal, Marilyn, the whole crew. They're absolutely amazing, and they have done wonderful work, and I'm just incredibly proud of this program. And the leadership, of course, with Jeremy, we talked about this before, Assistant Lieutenant Jeremy Barrick, just really excited. Wonderful work. Strategic Direction E, steward our natural resources, Mississippi River Cleanup, Upper South Area. Thank you to the Upper South Area team who went out on the Mississippi in mid-July on the MPRB barge to remove over 27 tires and building and construction material that had been discarded along the windshield trail. The city, the only way to reach the debris for removal was to launch the barge from the East River Flats boat ramp and travel down the river to the site along the shore where maintenance crew had worked days prior to gather up the debris. The staff who worked on the cleanup included crew leader Lou Vu, park keepers Anthony Lasgard and Sean Linden, seasonal maintenance worker Louis Wade, equipment crew leader Michael Schweiger, equipment operator Andy Long, Nick Rimmerlitzu, and I got to practice beforehand, and Bob Jensen, and seasonal equipment operator Libin Jama. All right, they're going to kill me for pronouncing these wrong, but anyways, they're fantastic. They've done a great work, and really proud of them, and I will practice on pronunciation next time. So congratulations to the amazing work that they do every single day. Youth Sports Registration Update. As of Tuesday, September 2nd, we have 2,926 kids registered for fall youth sports, which includes soccer, flag football, tackle football, and volleyball. Late registration will be taken where roster spots remain. Volleyball registration will remain open until Tuesday, September 2nd, yesterday, because the season starts a month and a half later than the other fall sports. Below is what I'm going to share here is the breakdown of the registration per sport. Participation numbers: soccer, 1,943 participants; flag football, 444; tackle football, 64; volleyball, 475; and total registered 2,926 registrants are participants. So incredibly proud of the program, and great work by our staff to really bring together a really great fall season. And before I get to the last thing, I just want to mention too here that's been brought up here to our board. Staff are developing an alternative strategy for the 2025-2026 ice rink season that will prevent any further rink closures while remaining within the current budget. The proposed plan and possible budget amendment resolution will be presented to the board on September 25th meeting. We would anticipate board action on October 9th if needed. With that, I'm going to go quickly into the Phelps. I'm hoping I can get the next 8 minutes. It's going to be a little bit of time, so bear with me. The Phelps Field Park and Phelps Activities Council summary of fundraising activities toward an artificial turf field. And if we move forward, please look at the slides themselves as I'm speaking, because I'm just going to summarize each slide just to get through this before we have open time. From the perspective of the field, the long-range plan for Phelps Field Park does not change significantly. You see in that first slide. According to the long-range plan, in addition to the drawing included as part of the long-range plan, the highlighted narrative from the long-range plan notes the main elements of the park are unchanged. I think it's the next slide, Jennifer, sorry. Yep. The field would be a natural turf field. Improvements at Phelps Parks was very important. As we've heard before, people say things haven't happened at Phelps Park. Phase 1 improvements, based on the long-range plan, improvements have occurred at the park, including a new play area and a new splash pad. That's the next slide again. Thank you. I will tell you, yeah, I just recognized that. Thought you would know. Yes. Next slide, please. So previous Board of Commissioners actions, April 1st, 2020. These dates are important to recognize. According to the resolution as approved by the Board of Commissioners, design of the athletic field improvements will be completed and publicly bid with construction anticipated in 2021. NPRB would provide matching funds to create a roughly $300,000 improvement. The Hennepin Youth Sports Grant will go directly towards the design and construction of an athletic field improvements. Again, a grass field. And more information you can see there too, of course. Next slide, please. June 2nd, 2021. While staff were moving towards the grant-funded improvements, then President Bourne redirected effort towards the Phelps Activity Council, PAC, which resulted in the resolution which was approved by the Board of Commissioners. According to this resolution, as approved by the Board of Commissioners, the board would enter into a fundraising agreement with Phelps Activities Council, PAC. PAC would raise funds toward the conversion of the current natural turf field into an artificial turf field. The Hennepin County Youth Sports Grant would be directed to the change in addition to the funds raised by PAC. Staff would prepare and submit to the Board of Commissioners an amendment to the long-range plan accepting artificial turf field. The fundraising agreement expired May 1st, 2022, without reaching the fundraising goal. And remember, please pay attention to the dates. With expiration of the original agreement, next slide, please, I think I went to that, yeah. A resolution to extend the timeline was considered by the Board of Commissioners. According to this resolution, as approved by the Board of Commissioners, the timeline was extended to March 31st, 2024. A recital provided for the path forward some level of enhancements of the field if funding failed or if an amendment to the long-range plan was not approved by the Board of Commissioners. Next slide, please. June 16, 2023. The same resolution also required alignment with any new policy for naming should such a policy be approved by the Park Board. Board of Commissioners approval of the type of material proposed to be used in an artificial turf field. The extension to the fundraising agreement expired in March 31st, 2024, without reaching, again, the fundraising goal. September 4th, 2024. This resolution, while numbered, was not placed on an agenda for consideration by the Board of Commissioners. The resolution would have allowed the Phelps Activities Council to raise funds for the conversion of the field to an artificial turf field and construct a field improvements as donation by the NPRB. Next slide, please. December 18th, 2024. The resolution recognized that the Phelps Activities Council had engaged in fundraising assistance. The resolution, as drafted, also reinforced that the need to move toward the originally intended improvements would be renewed by the Park Board if fundings were not successful. If this resolution would have been considered favorably by the Board of Commissioners, the fundraising agreement would have been extended to March 31st, 2025. Next slide, please. November 6, 2024. The discussion item, reviewed past actions, framed the status of current fundings available through fundraising efforts, as understood by NPRB staff. And it also allowed commissioners to gain a better understanding of the potential for fundraising and offered direction for moving forward. And if you look at that, you'll see there's more information over time purposes. We can't do it all, I can't read through all of it, but you'll see what those are. Additional information was directed by the Board of Commissioners. To better understand the feasibility of the project, the superintendent requested responses from the Phelps Activity Council related to 6 points of feasibility, and you see them there. Since then, the staff initiated investigations on artificial turf fields options and understands some implications for accommodating stormwater relative to those options. Staff have not received a full response. Status of fundraising, next please. Yep, thank you. NPRB does not have access to the funding resulting from activities undertaken by the Phillips Activity Council. While NPRB estimated the project to be $2 million, probably more, Phelps Activity Council estimates the project to be about $1.8 million. Yellow Tree Construction would donate its time to the construction of the project. Based on information available to the NPRB, the fund raised and NPRB grant funds total $797,750. Okay? Next slide, please. Since Resolution 2020-172 was passed, staff have been ready to engage consultants and move forward with improvements to the field at Phelps Field Park. Staff remain ready and has been through every resolution approved by the Board of Commissioners to move towards rehabilitation of the natural turf field should fundraising efforts fail. Our goal since 2020 has been to provide an improved field of play. Had the board not entered into a fundraising agreement, the field would have been rehabilitated nearly 5 years ago. If the MPRB has failed, it has been for not proceeding with its plans to create a better field. To be clear, the MPRB is not standing in the way of an improved field at Phelps Field Park. With direction from the Board of Commissioners, staff will now move directly towards improvements with implementation as early as practicable in 2026. And Commissioners, I will stop there. The information, if you read through every amendment and you read through the timeline, you will see that the Park Board has been engaged. It has been involved. And we are now, like I said at the very end, we will move towards a turf field and put it there. We heard these kids. We heard people speak to it. The Park Board has not been negligent of providing services here for Phelps. This agreement, if you read it, it clearly spells out the timeline that was required that we followed in cooperation. So with that, Commissioners, President Benny, Commissioners, I stand for questions, or I know it's 5:31.
Yeah, so, perhaps there'll be a chance to come back to this item after we go through the next parts of our agenda. Thank you so much for that, Superintendent. Okay, so I'll start by reading the open time rules. So it's 5:31. We have our open time beginning at 5:30. So thanks to those of you who have come to speak tonight during tonight's open time. I will call on people from the speaker list only. Names are added to the speaker list by calling in before 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting or by adding it in person at the board meeting before 5:30 p.m. The time allotted for all speakers shall not exceed 15 minutes. We have 5 speakers, so we'll allow up to 3 minutes per person, and time may not be transferred. Please watch the timer and stay within your allotted time. This is an opportunity for you to address the board. We are listening, but we will not respond. That said, please don't hesitate to contact any of the commissioners for dialogue and further discussion. To protect the privacy of individuals, please refrain from commenting on specific personnel issues or pending litigation. Discriminatory or harassing words shall not be directed at anyone and will not be tolerated. Each speaker is asked to state their name and where they live. Before I call the first name, I also want to say, we have also 2 other time-certain items on the agenda. We have a hearing at 5:45 and then another one at 6. So if we don't get through all of the speakers, we're going to have to still pause the open time and go to those items as well. It's a little weird, but it's how we do it. So with that, I'll call the first name, and it is Anu Francis, followed by Blaise Sherman.
Hi, thanks. I'm a little thrown because I didn't know it was going to lead off with the decisions that you came to. I'd like to hear a little bit more when we go back. So what I came to say doesn't really apply exactly to the moment, and I appreciate you addressing the timeline, and I would like to hear more. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Blaise Sherman, followed by Charles. Oh, okay. Charles Weed, followed by Jermaine Hunter.
Hi, my name is Charles Weed. I'm the president of the Minneapolis Community Clay Courts. You have the Finance Committee, Finance and Administration, I guess, Committee has a resolution in front of them, 169, for funding projects for the Hennepin Youth Sports Grant. And the Clay Courts, thanks to the staff, the Clay Courts is one of the projects that's been forwarded and recommended to the committee. You guys have been sensational. Waveland Triangle Park has just finished its 4th year. We're still playing, but it's almost over. And Waveland Triangle has been fabulous. It's a magical place. I didn't know how much time I would have, but I'll say that in these troubling political times, it's difficult to get people together that are on different sides of the aisle and have different thoughts about politics and things like that. But I know that at Waveland Triangle, it's a place where all people come, all political stripes, all socio and economic stripes. And so that's the primary reason that we wanted to build those courts with you, because we knew that a lot of people would appreciate coming to a clay tennis court, the only public clay tennis court that we found in the country that's taken care of by volunteers. We got an award from the United States Tennis Association, national, and we went to the US Open last year to receive that award. So this is, the US Open's going on right now. This is when we went to do that last year, and it was super exciting. So you guys entered a memo of understanding with us in February of 2024. Since then, we've raised $165,000 towards 2 more courts along Minnehaha Creek. We're calling it Creekside. We're making shirts. We're saying establish 2026, because that's our hope, and we believe we can do it. The USTA National is in for $70,000 on that, so they came through for us again that way. And so Hennepin Youth Sports Grant would do a great deal towards allowing us to get on track to build those courts in 2026. So I hope you'll support us. I'm happy to answer any questions about the 4 years we've been through taking care of those courts. They are by far the best courts in the Twin Cities, private, public, anything. If you go there, I was just at Edina Country Club. It's not as good. So if you're a tennis player, please come out and play on them. You will be blown away. And the reason that they're so good is because everybody takes care of them, not some pro that's sweeping once a day. Everybody sweeps, everybody takes care of those courts. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you. Jermaine Hunter, followed by Jim Halber.
How you doing? I just seen the agreement that you were speaking of. In 5 years, I feel like you haven't even approached the program with these, with none of this information. It's the first time seeing it. I don't feel like it's reliable information because it hasn't been brought up to us at all. Like, why are we in the we don't know what's going on for this long? We've been trying to reach out to you guys. You understand me? I understand that most of you guys' term is coming to an end. I know most of you guys are running. It seemed like this issue's been ignored for your whole term. Because if it's been 5 years, how have you been working with the park? I just seen all the money that we have been raising, and then the project from coaches that's going to build the field. That's what we're doing. But what is your issue? We don't understand what the 5 years. What's taking the park and rec? You tell you working. Who are you working with? You working with each other to prevent it from happening? That's the only thing I see. You understand? Because last week when we was here, when all these kids was here for football practice, the only reason why they're not here right now because they was late for football practice and their parents got stuff to do, other people got stuff to do. The last time we was here, one of those kids went to the field, holding the field, broke his arm, broke his wrist hanging from the field, not from anything else, just from the field. So it's an urgency. So 5 years, that's too long. So get it done now. It's too long now. Time is up, right? Time should be up now. Just like some of y'all, time is going to be up here. Time is up for the field not to be in the right conditions for us to coach and play football for the only team that's in South Minneapolis. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Halbert.
Yeah, my perspective on the field is different. I think we entered into a fundraising agreement, as he said up there, probably in 2021, and renewed it one time. And the end of 2023, or 2024, end of March of 2024, we've been trying to renew the fundraising agreement. The reason that in 2018, there is out of the strategic plan, Phelps, McRae, Central, and Peavy were all supposed to get upgraded. And every field got done at all those parks except for Phelps. We asked why it wasn't going to get done. They said they didn't have it in the budget. So we said, okay, fine, we're going to go ahead and try to help raise the funds. We, with help with some state senators, we met with the Vikings, and we applied for that grant, a $250,000 NFL grant, that the Hennepin County Sports Grant. My understanding, that was supposed to be matching funds for the NFL grant. And then is when we entered into a fundraising agreement, because if we're going to raise these funds, we don't want the field permitted out to just anybody if we're helping renovate the field. Because the whole time, never one time did any representative from the Park and Rec ever say they had or had intentions that they had the money to do it, or did they have the funds intended to renovate the field. Not one time in that whole the whole 4 years, never, not one time. And to say that that field would have been done by now, there was never, I agree with Jermaine, we were never told that. No one ever said that to us at one time. And then to state from March of 2024 to not even get a phone call, you sent out a list that were ready to respond to. We had a meeting in the beginning of June. We were supposed to have a meeting in June 24th. That meeting, all of our people said we had a meeting. Your people acted like that didn't exist. So now to say that you didn't hear back from us, you guys even heard me saying I've been trying to get together with him ever since our last meeting, right? Why does this all of a sudden turn? I knew this the whole thing. I mean, I was saying this to some of the other staff people. Might have been saying it to Michael Schroeder. You guys just want to control the narrative. You don't want the field. You don't want these kids to have the first priority on the field, as apparently what it is. But then stall, and then to say we've been waiting too long and it's PAC's fault. We already knew that was a narrative coming. If you don't like the kids, just tell us you don't like these kids. If you don't like the community, just say you don't like the community. Just be honest about what's going on. Don't drag us on for year after year and then blame us that we're the ones when you never had the money to begin with. And even at the point of when we said, well, we're not going to do the fundraising agreement, but since we're short on funds to help do the field, can we use some of the money you fundraise to help do the field? It's like, okay, this is very disingenuous. We got answers to all of it. The cost of $1.8 million, it's at or below. Stormwater management, from my understanding, Michael's got it figured out. Zoning compliance, we're under the 60% impervious space that was required by the city person told us so. Operation cost is less, with less grass without combustible engines or CO2. The engine service, or the end of service life costs, MPRB, from what my understanding with Michael, is that you'll do it. And the last one, the programming assumptions that you had on your list, is that we would work off first priority.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, that ends open time, and we are going to return to our other part of the agenda, which was the end of the reports of officers. I don't know if the superintendent had any more to add, or if people had questions for the superintendent, Commissioner Musich, or Vice President Musich.
Thank you for the updates, Superintendent Bangor. I'm thrilled to hear so many kids have decided to participate in sports this fall. That's thrilling to see. I know I had a couple people reach out to me asking how they go about doing it, and when they got connected to the right staff, found it very easy to navigate. So glad to hear that that is continuing to go well. I think what I'm understanding from the updates that you just provided around the athletic field renovations at Phelps is that that project will be put out for bid for a natural turf field to be put back in place there that doesn't have the challenges the current one does. Is that correct?
President Commissioner Musich, yes.
Okay. And with that project, will there be communications shared on our website and posted in the park to inform people about how that project will proceed?
President Benning, Commissioner Musich, yes.
Okay, fantastic. And as we've done at other locations where we've done field renovations, will we be working with teams that are currently utilizing those spaces for practices and games to ensure that they are rescheduled at other locations for the duration of that project?
Yes, President Benning, Commissioner Musich, yes, we will.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Commissioner Menz.
Yes, I do. Thank you for the report, Superintendent Bangor. I thought it was really nice to see the timeline and educational to some of us who have been involved in this work. My question, I think that for my fellow commissioners, I'd also like to clarify, I think that the natural turf versus artificial turf has been the big sticking point and why the delay has happened. So there is discrepancy around what funding would be available from Phelps, depending on if it was natural or artificial. And that might be one of the reasons why we've had such a long delay for the kids not to get what they deserve. I was also surprised to hear that in the previous meeting or after or somewhere close to there, that we could have just put it into natural turf. So I'm encouraged to hear that. What my question for you, Superintendent Bangor, is will we be also working to secure those donations or work with Phelps on the money that they have brought in, or working to figure out if that money is tied to an artificial turf surface or could be utilized for natural turf? Because that could be a partnership. And I think that thinking about the programming and the football that's played there, prioritizing, the groups that have used it is important, but we also have to use it as a revenue generator if we're going to improve a field surface like that. So what is your anticipated progression on this and how the community agreement comes into place, or what board actions we may need in order to ensure that this natural surface is not only adequate, but possibly exceptional, utilizing the funds that are all available?
And Superintendent, before you answer that, we do have the next time certain item, so this weird thing that we do here, but this will be quick, so. No, that's all right. So the time is 5:45, and I'll need to open the public hearing for the naming of the 28th Street tot lot to Chickadee Park. I won't read the rules. They're similar to open time, but regardless, I have no one signed up on the speaker list. And so is there anyone in the room that wishes to speak on the Chickadee Park item? Yeah, please come forward.
Hello everyone, my name is Jesus. I'm with Whittier Alliance, just here for the Chickadee Park update, but just want to make myself known.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to the Chickadee Park nomination? Anybody else? No? Okay, seeing no other speakers at this time, I'll close the public hearing, and we'll return to, the superintendent was just about to answer Commissioner Menz's inquiry.
Thank you, President Abeni and Commissioner Menz. I'm going to have Assistant Superintendent Michael Shore come up and answer some specifics as far as how we move forward.
Thanks.
Thank you, Superintendent Bangor, President Abeni and Commissioner Menz. So we have some funds available to us through the Hennepin Youth Sports Program Grant. The name has changed, but at that time was a sports program grant. So we'll be directing those funds towards improvement to the fields. As we're moving through the final design process for the second time, we actually bid these improvements in 2021 and had a bid from Rachel Contracting that would have come to the board if we weren't redirected towards the artificial turf fundraising agreement. To the extent that other funds can be made available, we'll look for other improvements beyond what we can do with the currently allocated funds. So we'll probably be putting together a package that includes several alternatives. As we're putting that package together, we'll be looking to see if we can secure other funds, and possibly even some of the funds that Pastor Halber has already arranged. If there's support within the Phelps Athletic Council to redirect any of those funds, we'll do an even better project.
Okay, so we plan to kind of see what Phelps has available via their fundraising, which might be directed towards the field, and work in concert with them, or?
But President Benny, Commissioner Menz, the Phelps Athletic Council or Activities Council has not committed their funds to a natural turf field. We'll talk to them about it. If it's possible, for that to happen, we'd be bringing an agreement to those ends back to this board.
Without those additional funds, what would we be limited to funding-wise for that individual field?
The original grant was $257,750 plus a required match, so we're probably at around $300,000.
Where would we find that match from? That's my question, I guess.
I'll have to work with Director Swenson to figure out what the match comes from. We go through this every time we have one of these types of grants, that we're seeking match funds, but we always find it because we're always implementing these kind of projects. So we'll come back to you with how that's going to work when we have a contract to award using those dollars. Right off the top of my head, I don't know what the source is.
Could the source be a partner agency's
Yes.
fundraising? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. That's what I needed. And then You had the youth sports update. Is there any update on how many, are there preformed teams that are going to be in the soccer league and how that's going on? Like, what's the discrepancy between the leagues? Because I know some of the groups were trying to come as fully formed teams, and we were kind of implementing that in fall. So I'm wondering if you have a report on how that has worked out. I have not heard from others.
Yeah, President Benny, Commissioner Messer, I don't have the specifics to preform teams on this. Mostly, what I do know is that the big sport obviously is going to be basketball. I mean, as we get into the winter season, that's where more of the preformed teams are going to be really engaging. I know there was a challenge of trying to get a lot of preformed teams to come into some of their leagues here, but we did, if they didn't have a team, we connected them to other opportunities, make sure that we reached out, they connected through their coaches and connected to centers to get their kids to play. I don't have that specifically on here, but I can get that for you. But I know we've been working diligently with the preformed teams to make sure that no child is left out from playing,
Right.
and that they're connected to each park and they're able to participate.
My last question is around user experience. I think the numbers look great, but you know, the real proof is in, like, how does our programming result in results for children and families? So what do we do, and how do we gauge the user experience or the player experience or the family's experience during this fall season? So there's 1,900 players playing soccer. How many of those players will give us feedback on how we did? So I'd like a report, maybe after this season, there might be a report on those experience numbers, those user experience with the coach or with the park board, and then also maybe how many of the games that were scheduled were actually played. So sometimes I don't think we make up games, and it definitely lessens the experience for the young people. So those percentages would be really helpful for the board to kind of evaluate as well.
Absolutely. We will, I know that, I'm sure Nicole is writing this down back here, but we'll make sure we get those numbers. Thank you, Commissioner Menz.
Thank you for those questions, Commissioner Menz. Commissioner Forney.
Thank you. I was really excited to hear about the Mississippi cleanup. Sorry, I'm not sure I ever knew about that. And I feel a little bit negligent because I row in the gorge, and there's scooters, there's shopping carts, there's all sorts of things that I never realized that we have people who can come and clean that up. Anyway, if there's somebody that I can alert of all of that, I would, because it's horrible seeing all of that in that area. But anyway, I'm really pleased to hear about the cleanup that did happen on the Upper South area.
Thank you. Okay. Well, we'll close that section of the agenda. Thank you so much. And now we'll go to reports of appointees to outside boards, commissions, or committees. Does anybody have anything to report? No? Okay. We do have another public hearing at 6, but I think we have time to hit the old consent items here. So let's somebody move the consent business?
I will move the consent agenda as a slate.
Second?
I heard a second. Is there discussion? I see Commissioner or Vice President Musich.
I'm going to keep it real brief. I just wanted to note how excited I am to see that the walkway along Minnehaha Creek below the falls is on our consent agenda tonight. It's been in disrepair and impassable for, my goodness, almost a decade now. So to see that we're finally moving forward with making that passable again for the people of Minneapolis and all the visitors to our beautiful city is really exciting.
Awesome. Other discussion about the consent business? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of approving the consent items as a slate, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning Committee, I will move Resolution 2025-160, resolution approving a 3-year encroachment license for use of 66.4 square feet of land in front of 1240 West River Parkway, encroaching upon parkland at West River Parkway within Central Mississippi Riverfront Regional Park.
Second.
Is there discussion? Okay, I believe this will be a roll call vote. Secretary Ringgold, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner Alper,
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rucker.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Vice President Musich.
Aye.
President Abeni.
Aye.
You have 9 ayes.
That motion carries.
I will move Resolution 2025-161, resolution granting a permanent easement to the City of Minneapolis for the York Avenue Storm Sewer Outfall Project located within the Minnehaha Parkway Regional Trail and reducing easement fees based upon quantitative betterments.
Second.
I heard a second. Is there any discussion? Okay. This is another resolution 2025-161, also requires a roll call vote. So Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner Alper.
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rucker.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Vice President Musich.
Aye.
President Abeni.
Aye.
You have 9 ayes.
That motion carries.
On behalf of the Administration and Finance Committee, I'd like to move Resolution 2025-166, a resolution amending and extending a concessions agreement with the Ghost Dancer LLC DBA Wamney by the Sioux Chef to operate as the food and catering vendor at Waterworks in Mill Ruins Park. It's a lot of names.
Second.
Okay, I heard the second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of Resolution 2025-166, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Also, on behalf of Administration and Finance, I will move Resolution 2025-167, a resolution authorizing the use of Sourcewell contract number 120320, ATH, I don't even know what that stands for, with Becker Arena Products Incorporated for the purchase of ice rink equipment in an amount up to $475,000 and transferring $10,000 from the emergency repair project in the 2025 Enterprise CIP to Parade Ice Garden.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Commissioner Menz?
Yeah, I do have a couple questions. Is there someone to speak to this resolution around, I mean, we're purchasing boards, from what I understand, and I'm wondering if there's a plan to recoup some of that funding through advertising.
Welcome, Assistant Superintendent Hernandez.
Good evening, President Abeni, Commissioner Menz. At this point, we don't have any information regarding that right now, but I definitely can follow up and get some additional information on that for you.
Okay, thanks. And do we have any information about why money is moved from the emergency, like why the small amount that's moved from the emergency fund for that purpose?
President Abeni, Commissioner Menz, I will pass that off to Deputy Superintendent.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Hernandez. President Abeni, Commissioner Menz, this project is being funded out of the capital program within the enterprise fund, and there was a specific amount of $350,000 dedicated to Parade, but the cost of this project is more than $350,000. So like we do with the other capital for non-enterprise assets, we have to move money out of that enterprise or the emergency repair line item into the Parade Ice Garden. To your first question, what I would say is that something that would be revenue generating within enterprise would sit just in general in the enterprise fund as part of its overall revenues and expenses, and we use the balance or kind of the excess of that fund towards other additional capital. So it wouldn't be a direct probably reduction in this project cost, but it would be something if we had, say, advertising on the boards and received revenue for that, that would benefit the overall enterprise fund.
But it wouldn't be going specifically to like replenishing for this particular I guess I'm trying to figure out, like in my own personal finances, I'm going to try and balance the budget on this, right? So we're not doing that. We're using public resources to sort of support this enterprise, but there's revenue generation that's available through the boards. How can we plan for those revenue generations to impact our budget planning process on capital improvement projects that go through the enterprise fund? That's I guess, because I feel like this is an opportunity for that to happen, where it's not really costing us $475,000 long term. It's costing us this short term. How do we determine that long term benefit and get that to the right places, not just the general enterprise budget?
President Abeni and Commissioner Menz, when we think about the enterprise fund and Parade Ice Garden in particular, it's all non-tax supported in that fund, so there isn't any property tax dollar going to it. We have been working to build the revenues in that fund to a point where we can actually do a more robust capital program. Right now, we don't have enough funding in the enterprise to actually address all of the capital needs that we have, and so we look forward to a day when we have the right amount allocated for boards and the right amount allocated for ice replacement and all of those pieces, but that's not where we're at yet. So at this point, we're still working at the highest and greatest need, and those needs within the enterprise kind of suite of assets that we think will produce the greatest amount of revenue.
Thanks. So what I'm hearing is we need more funding sources for our capital improvement facilities for things like ice arenas and athletic facilities. We don't have directed capital project money for that besides through the enterprise fund, and we don't have enough revenue coming in for that. Is that kind of a general idea?
I wonder the time, but also I think we are somewhat getting a little off topic of just the purchase of the boards, and I'm not suggesting that this isn't a good conversation. I would just add that I think it ties back to some of our revenue discussions and new revenue sources. And I think we would have, may I ask, when would we have an opportunity to have that discussion at our next meeting, perhaps, or about revenue?
Superintendent's looking to be recognized.
Superintendent Bangora, yeah.
President Abeni, we will be having a series of conversations on the budget leading up to the actual release of the superintendent's recommended budget, and we can definitely work that into the conversation.
Yes, because I do think that this board did seem open to this kind of revenue opportunity to explore it at a greater extent, but I do think it's a little bit off topic. So I think we'll come back to wrapping up this item, and we'll go to the final time certain item of the night, which is too many things happening. Okay, so I will open the public hearing to name the beach at 50th Street by Lake Nokomis, the Al Whitman 50th Street Beach within the Nokomis-Hiawatha Long Range Plan. Secretary Ringgold, we don't have anybody on the sign-up sheet, is that correct? Okay, I'll call you in 1 second. No, thank you. Okay. So, and we do have 3 people signed up on the sign-up sheet, so I'll call you in a minute. I'll also let you know, though, that we are actually working on to find a different location for this naming opportunity, and I believe that's been communicated to the nominator. I don't have all the information.
The Whitman family, yes, I
The Whitman
believe
family.
they,
So,
they've had
but with
that
that, I think we
conversation.
can, Secretary, are you preparing a presentation, or?
President Abeni, I was prepared to provide a presentation if the board would choose, and was going to just reiterate what you said as well in case that needed to be done. So I think at this point, unless anybody needs a presentation, knowing that we are following through with the hearing tonight, but we'll be looking for a new location and that it won't be the beach that we renamed after Al Whitman, it's probably enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then I would just like to go ahead and call on the speakers. So the first name is Kristen Macaroni.
Hello, I'm Kristen, and I live nearby to the beach. And I'm not sure where y'all are in the process, if it's already been renamed or if that's what y'all are doing tonight. But the little beach will be called the Al Whitman 50th Street Beach. And I guess I'd like to suggest or throw an idea out there that maybe it could be renamed something that's more relatable and meaningful for the people who use the beach. Instead of naming it an individual person, however good of his contributions, we could call it something that's more indicative of what it is. For example, it's on the northeast side of the lake, so it could be called the Northeast Beach. It's on the northeast side of the lake, so it's a perfect spot to watch the sunset, so it could be called the Sunset Beach. And furthermore, when you name a place, hopefully the name sticks and that people find it palatable enough to repeat it. So when I'm calling my friend and we're meeting somewhere, I might say, meet me at the Little Beach, meet me at the Sunset Beach, meet me at the Northeast Beach. I'm not really likely gonna say, hey, could you meet me at the Al Whitman 50th Street Beach? You know, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. And so I live there and it's part of my neighborhood and I go there all the time and I love the sunsets there. And so I guess I'd like to advocate for a more representative and meaningful name for the people who use it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And it will, we, just like I didn't read our open time, like our rules like we do for open time, but I will set the time at 3 minutes, Secretary. I think I forgot to say that. And also, we really won't have a back and forth, but there's an opportunity to engage with us by email and so on. The next name is Tom Dowbrook. Tom Dowbrook? Oh, and followed by Claire Dombrook.
No relation. Just kidding. So I was the one that nominated Al for this, and Al, of course, was the head of planning for Minneapolis Parks for about 30 years. When Jennifer called me yesterday to tell me that there were some other options, she was very hesitant, I think, and kind of gauging what my reaction would be. And on the other side of the phone, I had a massive grin on my face. Al loved the bureaucratic process of the city of Minneapolis. He loved the parks, and he loved the passion that the people of Minneapolis have with their parks. And he would have been just over the moon to find out that there were so many people that were opposed to the renaming of this beach after him, that I think it's a really fun kind of thing, and we're very much looking forward to seeing what some of the other options are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Claire Dombrook, please.
Thank you so much. I'm Claire Dombrock. I'm one of Al Whitman's 5 children. And I don't have much to add to that because I agree with my husband. My dad loved the process of everything that he did with the park board. And I think, you know, my dad, we initially thought of this place just because he used to take us as children to the Little Beach. And of all of the park board amenities, that was the one that he tended to use. And we kept our canoe on Lake Nokomis. But certainly, I'm sure that there's suitable alternatives. He just did so much for the park system. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who actually did more. He was there for 28 years, but it has been 28 years since he retired, and so there's probably a lot of people that, you know, don't know who he is. And yeah, it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. But again, I think we could find a suitable alternative. Communities have a long-standing history of naming things after people that were important to the community. And again, he did so much. But I think to me, the most notable thing about my dad was that he was the type of person who, he accomplished so much and he weathered so many conflicts, as I kind of walked into when I walked into this board meeting. That's new to me. But he weathered a lot of conflicts, and he did it with such patience, and he had a great sense of humor. He had so much integrity, and he just had a genuine concern for the people of Minneapolis. And so I think, you know, our family would be certainly happy with pretty much anything. I did want to read a little bit from a resolution that was passed when he retired in 1997, because it does such a good job of describing his service and who he was as a person. So again, this was from 1997. It says, quote, Al Whitman has been, in his incomparable service to the city and people of Minneapolis, the planner's planner, the best, the complete professional, exhibiting day in and day out immense creativity, diligence, unparalleled integrity, and always mature insight and focused intelligence. The resolution went on to say that his outstanding work will surely benefit our city, its residents, and its visitors from far and wide for years and years to come. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'll ask if there are other people here to speak on the public hearing to rename the beach at 50th Street by Lake Nokomis, the Al Whitman 50th Street Beach. Anybody else here? Anybody else? Okay, seeing nobody, I will close the public hearing and we'll return to, we were discussing Resolution 2025-167. Is there more discussion? I think Commissioner Menz had just finished speaking. Okay. Seeing no other interest in speaking or discussion, I'll go ahead and take Resolution 2025-167 to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Okay. We have one final item on the agenda for tonight on the main meeting, and that is a presentation by Director Wiseman on the City of Minneapolis 2026 Mayor's Recommended Budget.
Ignore the date on that. Let me just go like this. All right. Good evening, President Abeni and Commissioners. I'm going to provide an update on the 2026 Mayor's Recommended Budget. I'm going to start with the Capital Improvement Program. Within the Capital Improvement Program, it's showing $13.1 million for our NPP 20 bonding, and that amount is held steady over the period of time. And just a reminder, we have submitted a request to the City of Minneapolis for our inflationary factor for the next 5 years, which would cover 2027 through 2031. We will need to have an agreement with the city and have that passed by December of this year to have that inflationary factor. You'll see our Parkway paving program is at the elevated level, and that is consistent going forward between 2.6 million and 3.0 in 2031. And then you'll also see that for the Parkway streetlights, that is also being inflated over the next 5 years as well. So that's good to see that inflationary factor being included on the Parkway lighting as well. Moving on to our utility fee. For 2026, the utility fee is staying the same as 2025. We had unspent funds in 2024 that will allow us to do the board-approved 2026 budget for stormwater fees at that level. And then we will be negotiating with the city and proposing our stormwater fee increases in the out years. So our levy projections, there has been a little bit of a change in our levy projections in the mayor's recommended budget. For 2026, the increase was increased from 1.37% to 4.92%. And then in the out years, it's 3.5% in the out years. If this property tax levy increase held, our increase or our property taxes as a percentage of the total city tax would decline as the city increases are higher than what the park board is being recommended. So we would go from 17.8% in 2025 to 16.7% by 2028. So over the last 10 years, the MPRB's general fund property taxes have increased approximately 5.6%. Over that same period of time, the City of Minneapolis General Fund property taxes, which is the most consistent way to measure us against the city, has increased on average 8%. For 2026, our plan has an increase of 9.72 FTEs, and again, that is directly related to Graco and Upper Harbor Terminal Parks. Our growth between 2023 and 2026 has actually been a negative growth of almost 1% for our FTEs. For the city, in the mayor's recommended budget, there is almost a 13 FTE reduction in their workforce. However, their growth between 2023 and 2026 is still a growth of a positive 6%. This chart has been updated based on the new recommendation from the mayor. So the red line shows the 4.92% and the 3.5% for 27 and 28. And the blue line reflects the property tax increases that we have been showing in our 5-year financial projections. This is our general fund projections between 2026 and 2028. The top line shows what we are saying we need at 6.75%, 6.15 in 2027, and 4.59 in 2028. And at the bottom, it shows the estimated gap that we have currently between what the mayor is recommending and what we are projecting our needs to be. So $2 million in 2026, $2.5 million in 2027, and $1.2 million in 2028. I will note that this $2 million reduction or gap also includes a reduction in our property tax collection rate. So there's about a $450,000 reduction that finance is recommending that the board and the executive team consider because the property tax collection rate has been averaging about 97% the last couple of years. So this shows our system equity investment for Graco and Upper Harbor Terminal Parks, and then the adjustments for North Commons in 2027, and some smaller adjustments in 27. So currently, this is with a 4.92% increase that the mayor is recommending. That provides $4.4 million of additional revenue. We are currently projecting our needs at $6 million. And the difference as a citywide total tax is 0.33%. So we are asking for a 1.2% increase. The mayor's recommended budget includes a 0.87% increase for us, and the difference between the two is 1.6 million. So that is different than the 2 million because of the property tax collection rate. So coming up on our budget calendar on September 10th, we will be presenting to the Board of Estimate and Taxation at the public hearing regarding the maximum property tax levy. On September 17th, the BET will set the maximum tax levies, and then on October 15th, the full board will present the superintendent will present the superintendent's recommended budget. I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you for that presentation. I'll just say, and actually Commissioner Thompson whispered in my ear, but it's been something that I think, no, it's something I've been wanting to mention. I think that if any, I don't believe we have conflicts on the nights of the BET meetings, and so if any commissioners wanted to attend the public hearing, or the night that the tax levy is approved on the 17th, I think it might be good to be in the space that night. You certainly can also speak at the public hearing if you would like to. Any questions, any discussion from the commissioners?
Where's the public hearing?
What, yes, Vice President Musich.
Could you share the location of the public hearing with us, or could staff email us
Yeah.
the information about the public hearing for the BET?
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's at the building where the temporary council chambers are, and it's still going to be in that location, I think, permanently. So it's where we were last December.
Got it,
Public
thank you.
Service Center, I believe. Not to be
So
confused
the
with
old building.
the old one, not to be confused with the one called Public Service Building. Okay. Questions, comments? Okay, well, I just have a couple of things. I really appreciate the hard work and I do appreciate the mayor's budget coming forward with a higher number. I think we've discussed that here. But I do want to belabor one point, and so it's a slide early on where you show the 4 point, I don't know, it's going back, it's where you show the percentage right below the city's percentage. Yes. So I just do think it's worth pointing that out. And under the 2026 columns, we're sitting at 4.92, but the city is still increasing their general fund portion to 8.6%. And that means that if you look down under the total property taxes, it's a 7.8% increase to the city taxes for the combined levy increase. And so really, the park board is still being held to a different level, really, of priority, I feel, than the city's holding themselves to. And I don't know that that jives very well with what the citizens, I think, would prefer. So I think we just need to say that a lot, I feel. So, Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you. I suppose the only reason I put my light on is to go on record of saying the same thing. I find it egregious that the city would be raising property taxes on residents year over year and then fleecing the park board on repeat when we have these new FTEs coming online because of these parks that we've agreed to open for our community and that people are excited about, and we need to work in concert. So I will be at the BET. That's my intention, and thank you, Director Wiseman, for this presentation.
Other questions? Commissioner Schaefer.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask your opinion, President Abene, if how flexible or how optimistic you are with your current negotiations, or also Superintendent Gora, who's not here, as we move forward.
Yeah, I think that we do have some opportunity. I think the members of the BET understand that there are still some areas of funding that we're not able to meet, and I do think that I've heard them reiterate. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but what Commissioner Thompson just said, that we're building parks in areas where we committed to building parks, and we should be able to operate those parks like we would in any other part of the city. So I think we may have some support at the BET is the hope. But if you know council members, I mean, I know we all do, members of the BET, you can also just advocate, say, hey, we're not asking for much. There's really nothing new here other than just our business as usual and our service levels. So I think that's a good message, I feel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
And I guess one follow-up question, and so you're really highlighting the Graco Park and Upper Harbor as kind of the two.
Yeah, I think so, because I think that really that stuff, I mean, maybe Director Wiseman can speak to that, but that really is outside of the mayor's dollar amount right now.
Okay, thank you.
President Benny and Commissioner Schaefer, yes, this city, the increase from the 1.37 to the 4.92 is this 3.1, almost 3.2 million. that is current service level wage and fringe. And so when you go down to our request, this 3.4 million has been supported through the mayor's recommended tax levy. What hasn't been supported is Graco and Upper Harbor Terminal Park, as well as some of these inflationary increases, including the increases in the city fees.
Yes, and so those are good questions, and so I think, thank you for that, Director Wiseman, and I think there will be still problems. I mean, there's still some difficulties with our budget because of our fund reserves, our fund reserves that are low. We're still facing inflationary pressures that everybody's facing. We're not really able to make those up. So I think this still, on our end, is still a modest budget. It's a fiscally responsible budget, and we're staying with the promises that have been made and the long-term decision-making to open these new locations. So. Other questions? Okay. Seeing none, thank you so much for the presentation. And I think that is our last item, and we've done it all. So with that, without objection, I will adjourn the full board of the Park Board.
Caught me off guard. The time being 6:25, I would like to call the Administration and Finance Committee to order. Secretary Ringgold, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Alper.
Present.
Commissioner Forney.
Here.
Commissioner Rucker.
Here.
Vice Chair Schaefer.
Here.
Chair Thompson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Would someone like to move our agenda?
Also move.
Thank you, Commissioner Rucker. Any questions about the agenda? Seeing no lights. All those in approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Would someone like to move our minutes?
I'll move our minutes from August 20th, 2025.
Thank you very much. Any questions about the minutes being added? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of adding our minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have minutes. Would someone like to move our first resolution?
Move resolution 2025-169. Resolution authorizing the superintendent to apply for grants through the 2025 Hennepin County Youth Activities Grant Programs not to exceed the amount of $300,000 each for girls' fast pitch improvements at one park in the north service area and the northeast service area, disc golf, stair access to Kenwood Park, and clay surface tennis courts within Minneapolis Parkway Regional Trail.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Oh, Commissioner Schaefer, Vice Chair Schaefer.
Yes, I'd like to have an understanding of what's happening in Kenwood Park with the disc golf and stair access.
Could we, thank you, Ms. Pachuta.
Good evening. I have a full presentation.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. It's only 6:27. We're rolling.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. I will be sharing a quick presentation about the park projects that the Planning Division hopes to apply for this year for the 2025 Hennepin County Youth Activities Grant. MPRB staff have been applying for this grant for a number of years and have worked in collaboration with the Minneapolis Public Schools, or MPS, on decision-making on grants since 2021. The Youth Activities Grant Program is focused on increasing youth access to activities by providing funds to local government units, or LGUs, within Hennepin County. They've been offering these grants since 2009. The program expanded to include playgrounds in 2016 and small-scale play spaces in 2024. The Planning Division is hoping to apply for 3 grants this year under the sports or the play areas category. There may be other departments that choose to apply for grants that fit under the other categories, but those grants would not be led by planning, so I don't have information about those. So LGUs are able to apply for up to $300,000 per project in the play areas category, and funds can be used to create new facilities or expand or improve existing facilities. So this is just some examples pulled from the RFP about the types of projects that are eligible to apply for. There are a number of criteria that the Youth Activities Grant Selection Committee uses to determine whether a project is a good fit for the funding. And their criteria is just listed here, so I'll just pause a moment so you all can skim through that. And then additional to the criteria of Hennepin County, MPRB staff also created our own criteria that we use to suss out which projects would make the most sense and be the most strategic for us to apply for as well. And so that criteria is whether there is capital or outside funding available during the grant timeframe, whether the project lacks other funding options, the size of the project in relation to the funding that is available, our equity ranking of the park, how well it meets the requirements of Hennepin County, and then also project alignment with our existing policy documents and plans. There are 3 Hennepin County districts that overlap with our MPRB system, and we are hoping to apply for 1 grant within each of the districts. And so right now, since we are looking for District 2, we're working in partnership with MPS. We're hoping to apply for 1 park for girls' fast pitch improvements, either in our north service area or our northeast service area. Still TBD. We also are hoping to apply for a Frisbee golf course and new stairway in Kenwood Park, and then the clay tennis courts in Minnehaha Parkway Regional Trail. And so as I mentioned, the MPRB and MPS will work in partnership to determine which park in north or northeast will be applied for to receive soft-built field improvements to help meet our MPS Title IX compliance order and also the goals of the MPRB Diamond Sports Report. So this is just an image from our North Service Area Park Plan of all the parks that are there, and then this is an image from the East of the River Park Plan. So the improvements will help implement new and or improved field amenities at least 1 park, greatly raising the quality of our fast pitch fields. The initial phase of construction is slated to begin after the high school fast pitch season in 2026. And then the fields would be scheduled to be ready for play in spring of 2027. And again, as I noted, more information will be determined in partnership with MPS. And then for Kenwood Park, there is 2026 CIP funding available to complete playground improvements. So we would apply for funding to add additional youth amenities to this work to enhance this existing project that's happening at MPRB. We would be applying for new stairway access from the neighborhood down to the existing restroom and play court, down here. And then a new 3-hole disc golf course further up here near the playgrounds, and so both of these are listed in our Southwest Service Area Park Plan. And then for the clay tennis courts, MPRB and the Minneapolis Community Clay Courts, or MCCC, a nonprofit organization, entered into an MOU in 2024 to collaboratively implement clay tennis courts at East 46th Street and South 32nd Avenue. Clay tennis courts would help to further diversify court sports in this part of the city by providing an opportunity for youth to experience tennis on a surface not typically available outside of private courts. Since the approval of this MOU, MCCC has raised $165,000 to support this implementation. MPRB has already removed the old court surfacing, so the site is actually ready for construction of new courts once funding is available. MPRB pursued approval from the Met Council to include clay tennis courts as an allowable use within Minnehaha Parkway Regional Trail, which ended up not being supported. So this grant would really be used to fill the remaining funding gap that's needed alongside with the funds that are secured by our community partner. Presently, this grant opportunity is the only way that MPRB staff has found that can support funding this portion of the project. And then, in case it's helpful to see, just a graph of all of the projects that have been awarded to MPRB over the last 5 years, and then their status to date.
Thank you for that. Any questions? Vice Chair Schaefer.
Yes, so can you give me an implementation timeline? Is it, I know you said 2026 for the playground. Is that all of the amenities in 2026? Is that some of them? Assuming we get the award.
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Schaefer, that's our goal, right? We have to wait for that funding, and then once we get that, there'd be community engagement. But our intention would be to get into construction in 2026, probably later, quarter three, et cetera. That would be our hope.
I'm glad you mentioned community engagement. So there's flexibility with the funding. If for some reason the disc golf or the staircase is not top priority for the community in implementing the first steps of the master plan, can you tell me how that works? Or if we're tied, if this decision comes through to those three projects?
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Schaefer, in the application itself, we would name these two components as part of the grant application, and we would be tied to implementing those two components with the grant funds if we received those grant funds.
Okay, that's helpful. I just would like some time to sit with this because, and then can you describe what the staircase looks like? I don't know if I can go back and look in the plan, but I'll do that before it comes to the full board. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menz.
Thank you. Chair Thompson, I don't serve on this committee, so I appreciate you letting me ask some questions. I had a couple of similar questions around the clay courts. So we heard the gentleman come for the open time. I'm wondering, what data do we have around how improving the clay courts benefits youth, since these are youth sports grants? Like what data would we use to support that decision? And I guess just in general, like I saw the criteria, and I appreciate you all explaining the criteria of what staff looks for when they're gonna choose to apply for these grants. That was really helpful, Ms. Pashuta. But I'm wondering, like, is there like a ranking? Do you all kind of get in a room and be like, okay, this one's like a score system? How do these projects move forward, looking at that criteria and evaluating multiple projects?
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Menz, I'm going to actually try to answer the first question you asked, which was about clay courts and how it applies to youth. And I'm going to rely on the experience I've had working with Mr. Weed over the last several years in implementing the clay courts at Waveland Triangle. From the beginning, we recognized that the play of tennis as a sport on clay is different than on a hard surface. Much easier for kids to learn, much easier for older people to play on. In the times when I've stopped by the Waveland Triangle to see what's going on, and I will tell you that I think every time I've been there, Charles has been there, there are always kids playing on those courts, oftentimes playing with adults who are trying to teach them the game. But I think one of the reasons we embarked on clay courts initially at Waveland was because of its appeal at both ends of the age spectrum for the sport.
Thank you for that clarification. I really appreciate that. I'm just looking for the data to kind of support that. The anecdotal data is also very important. Mr. Swenson, I'm wondering if you can give some expertise on these grants and how do you guys have like grant meetings where you kind of flush out project with Hennepin County? I mean, they give us this money all the time, and I'm wondering if there's a more efficient way for us to implement it, because we utilize this funding quite a bit. And I'm also, have you guys talked to Hennepin? Like, do you flush those out before you kind of put them into application?
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Menz, when we deal with county staff, it's strictly about the application process and filling out the application, what kind of projects would be covered, timing, et cetera. We do not vet projects with county staff. They would not give us that type of feedback. So the vetting that goes on really is following that criteria. Project managers all get together, strategic planning staff get together. We try to come up with a list. Then we look at these criteria and just see which ones kind of rise to the top. There are 3 Hennepin County Commissioner districts that we try to pick one project per district, so it's hard to choose one project because our need is great. But we try to do ones that make the most sense. If we look ahead, if you were to look ahead to the next 2 or 3 years, we already have projects that we're already thinking about. Hopefully this grant will stay, that we'll be applying for, because we will be ready with other capital dollars to match that grant, or for this grant to match those capital dollars. Thinking of Cedar Field, et cetera, projects like that we'll need funding for. So, staff vet them, right? We look at them, but again, we've always used capital dollars to fund this, to match and to continue with projects. I've been involved in Hennepin Youth Sport, or these activity grants now, since 2011. And, we've tried to match them always with capital dollars.
Thank you. I do think that this is an important issue for the commissioners to sort of understand that this money comes through, and how do these projects, how are they implemented, and what is the long-term effectiveness of them. And is this include the one from the school district? Because there's 3, are we binding to the school district's application too? Because there's 3 and then there's 2. I'm really concerned about what Commissioner Schaefer's question is like, how does this bind us to the project? We're telling you what to apply for. Is there any recourse that we have in helping select these projects?
Commissioner Thompson, or Chair Thompson, Commissioner Menz, over the last 5 years, we've worked cooperatively with MPS on grant applications. For example, they may choose to apply in one commissioner district, and then we will apply for projects within the other 2, vice versa. So we always plan ahead. In this case, with the fast pitch improvements that they are proposing, we just looked at, working with staff, we looked at, which projects would rise to the top. And so an attestation letter, that's really what you're granting the superintendent authority to sign. We would use our attestation letter for their application for improvements to one of our fields to improve fast pitch play. So it's a real cooperative, this is a real cooperative application for Hennepin County Commissioner Fernando's district. And we've got some ideas. We still need to work out the details with MPS staff. But again, I'll just reiterate, I think you're asking again what Commissioner Schaefer asked about is, yes, whatever we have in that application, that's what we're tied to. And I could give it any numerous examples of how that of how that's transpired over the last 14 years.
Thank you, and I really appreciate the committee allowing me to ask these questions. I'd rather this be done in committee. And from what I understand, the money that we allocated last year to field improvements through the MPP, would that be eligible for matching funds for these grants?
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Menz, it could be. But if you understand what we're trying to staff, MPS and MPRB staff are trying to do here is they're trying to bring their capital dollars that they have to these fast pitch improvements, and then this grant would match their funds, possibly. It could also be that it would match some of our funds. But again, we're working through those details with MPS staff.
Okay, so how many of those funds are matched and things like that? And then would you all be willing to make sure that we understand like which fields would those be in the north or northeast area before it comes to the full board? If that would be helpful. Maybe it was in all the materials, but I didn't see it in there.
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Menz, we specifically left it out because we're not at that decision point. By the 25th, we may have a better idea.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Can I just, before I see 2 other lights, just to be clear, and staff is free to override me, that's that we are applying for these things strategically in different commissioner districts, is that correct? But we're still competing, we still compete with other agencies that apply for these same kind of things? Yes. So I think the question before us is really, do we agree with the strategic place? Sorry, Director Swenson, am I right? Do I just get a thumbs up?
I just wanted to give some, Chair Thompson, just a little bit of background, because it's just not, it's a little bit, just some background information may help you all.
Please, thank you.
So within the city, within the city limits of Minneapolis, there are 2 LGUs that can apply for Hennepin Youth Sport Program grants. MPS, Public Schools, and the Park Board. If you remember in the past few years, we've had some grant applications that you've all had to approve, had nothing to do with parks, right? But because we were required to be the LGU, it had to pass through us and had to pass through through you. So, do we compete with the overall grant amount? Yes. But typically, MPS Public Schools has been very successful with their grant applications, and we've been successful as well. So do we compete with the overall funding amount throughout the county? Yes. But again, within the city boundary, that's why we cooperate with MPS. So we're not competing against MPS for grant applications. Does that help?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Vice President Musich.
Thank you, Chair Thompson. I'm not on this committee, so I appreciate being given an opportunity to speak. As a district commissioner in the south side of town, where we're talking about clay court applications, I can tell you that the public school, high school in that area, Roosevelt, has been expanding their tennis program significantly in recent years. They are really feeling the dearth of playable tennis courts in this area, particularly for people to learn on that have not played the sport before. So this I think provides them with an amenity that allows them to get experience for young people that are looking to someday be able to play competitively on the teams. They are also really excited about work that we're trying to do at the Nokomis Community Center to rehab tennis courts there as well. But those would be traditional tennis courts versus clay. But there is a lot of demand for tennis. Maybe not as much as pickleball, but tonight the topic is tennis. And there's demand for that we cannot meet with our current facilities.
Thank you for that context. Vice Chair Schaefer.
I'm so glad Commissioner Musich mentioned pickleball. I think when I think about the community and the activities that are in that Kenwood Park plan, I think pickleball would have a greater number of youth served and age, every age served, potentially from some of these other amenities. Can you speak to why staff chose the staircase and the 3-hole disc golf over the pickleball courts?
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Schaefer. We looked at components within the park that didn't have a strong connection. Tennis is played by several high school teams at Kenwood, and we felt if we could provide better connection from the east, that portion of the neighborhood, from that parking up on that street down, would improve access, would improve play at that tennis court, those tennis courts. And then we looked at disc golf. It's a component within the park, something that we struggle to find funding for, and we wanted to add that component or that park amenity. It's in the concept plan that was approved, so we wanted to add those amenities to the park.
Okay, so it wasn't necessarily a cost factor?
Chair Thompson, Commissioner Schaefer, everything we do is a cost factor. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. I don't, it's not meant to be.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So yes, it is, right? What do we think if you look at our awards, even on this list that's here, if you notice, we always apply for, typically, we will apply for 300,000. If you look here, there's only a few that we received a full value for.
Sure.
And one, not being a park board facility. So we try to look for things that we think we can fit within, that we have matching dollars for. So it is a little bit of a game of, or puzzle, if you will, of what we can put together.
Well, I just think with the playground funds coming forward next year, I just think pickleball would be huge, even if it would had to be set aside. I know there's some parameters on using the funds, but I think the community would probably, and probably even the whole park system, benefit from applying those funds to pickleball if it was financially feasible. So that's my comments for right now. Thank you. That was very helpful.
Seeing no other lights, why don't we vote on this one? All those in favor of Resolution 2025-169, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That action carries. Someone like to move our last resolution of the night?
I'll move Resolution 2025-170, a resolution approving lease agreements with Northeast Fitness LLC, leasing commercial space at 1828 Marshall Street Northeast, units number 8, number 10, and number 19, located within the Above the Falls Regional Park for terms of 2 years, respectively, effective October 1st, 2025.
Does anyone have any questions on this item? Seeing no lights, why don't we take a vote? Can we do this? We need a roll call? No, we're good. All right, okay, all those in favor of Resolution 2025-170, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That action carries, and with that, I will adjourn Administration and Finance Committee.